Hey everybody, it's Cal Zerdi, founder of Fearless Transformation, where we help organizations grow. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the concept of how to build trust in your workplace. So obviously, if we don't have trust, and we work to a lot of organizations, and that's not unusual, that they come to us with their team, they're lacking trust with leadership, or leadership, they're lacking trust in their team, and that happens. So we found that when there's no trust, there's blame. And when there's blame, then tit for tat, and she told me, I told her. Then they will go into usurping authority, and then it could go into having people that they will represent you, more like political positions, where representing you in front of others because you don't feel comfortable talking with that person, or you're not trusting that person, so you send someone else to go talk to you on their behalf, which means it's the lack of productivity, which means that also the person that's in the middle of this, they're getting just fed up of this, and having to be in the middle of it. It's affecting their work, it's affecting their mental state, and they're not having fun in the process. Neither you are having fun in the process, neither leadership having fun in the process. Nobody's enjoying this, and it's lack of productivity, low morale. They're like watching each other, having the guard up, and when you're having the guard up, you're not able to grow because you won't be able to make mistakes. And if you don't make mistakes and if you don't fail, then you're not able to grow and learn because now you're afraid that someone is going to get you in trouble. That's when there's lack of trust. People are watching each other. Who's next? They're waiting for how they're gonna, talk to HR about that employee, or about, that staff, or about that manager. So all of that stuff, it just creates that environment of negativity, and nobody wants to go to work. They don't enjoy going to work. They have this, group against other group, departments against other departments. You want to say good morning to someone doesn't return, the greeting, or maybe they just barely respond back, but they don't look you in the eye. You can sense that tension in the workplace, and that's just not conducive to the growth of the organization. On the other hand, I know that, we work with organizations where there is trust, and we were able to help them to move towards trust, through training, through team building, through retreats, exercises, where now they're able to dissolve these barriers that they have between each other and be able to trust each other. And when this happens, there's vulnerability. Vulnerability meaning you're able to make mistakes, and you admit when you make mistakes, and you ask for help so that this won't happen in the future. And as a result, people start trusting each other. And now when they're trusting each other, there's more productivity. You know that they got your back. You have a team of people that gets your back. If you fail, that they get your back, and you're able to not having, drop that shield, drop that mask, and be able to, focus on the job at hand. Focus on serving your clients and your customers. Be able to focus on helping others rather than being able to protect yourself. Because where focus goes, energy flows. If you focus on protecting yourself, that's where your focus is. You're focusing on yourself. You're not able to serve others because now you're worried about yourself. And I get that you've maybe been hurt. Many have been hurt before. Many have been backstabbed. Many have got in trouble in the past. And that's understandable. And there's always possibilities for, trust to be built, completing relationships. So where do you want to be? It's a choice. Do you want to be in a place where you're not trusting, or you want to be in a place where you are willing to trust? Which one would you choose? Okay? Because you can take the horse to the water, but you can't force them to drink. And that's your choice right now you can make. If you want to have a environment of trust, then listen very carefully how I'm gonna able to help you some of the tools right now that you're able to create some of that trust. And if you don't want that trust, you may just want to hang up right now, and you don't need to watch the rest of the video, be wasting your time. Okay? So, what is trust? Okay? The behavior that creates trust, one of the most important one that we found very effective, is assuming positive intent and purpose with the people that you work with. Assuming positive intent and purpose with the people that you work with at all times. at all times, coming from that space that they mean well. Regardless if you know or you don't know if they mean well, you coming from that place that you're assuming that they mean well is the key for creating that trust. Now, consider that every behavior has a positive intent and purpose behind it. You may wonder, is like, hey Cal, come on, what does that mean? If someone is, cussing someone else, yelling and disrespecting, what positive behavior is that? I understand. That's not really what I'm addressing. So what I mean is assuming positive intent, and every behavior has a positive intent and purpose behind it. Their intent and purpose behind it is positive. So if someone is cussing and yelling, okay, they have a positive intent and purpose. They're trying to protect themselves, or they're hurt. So it's positive for them. Now, it's not positive for others, and it could be destructive for others, yes, but it's positive for them. So why would that be important to you? Understanding that every behavior has a positive intent and purpose behind it, it will give you that sense of empathy, that you understand that they are trying to do the best they can with what they know, or they're trying to do the best they can with the resources they have. Okay? This is very key. Being able to put yourself in their shoes, seeing the world from their own eyes, that's going to shift everything. Okay? So that is the key of what is trust, and what would be the way to create it. Okay? So now we're going to go into the tools. Okay? The tools, how to, like one communication tool to be able to put in place when you are feeling lack of trust with someone. Okay? So, and the tool is, we call it the BAT technique. Okay? The BAT technique. So what is a BAT technique? B-A-T. B stands for behavior. Okay, so step number one, when you realize there's lack of trust, let's just give a hypothetical scenario here. Let's say, you see a coworker that, they're just spinning, in the parking lot and just going fast, okay? And they almost, hit you, okay? Now, there's one choice. You can go and talk to HR and report that person, okay? Or you can take a different route, which is being able to communicate with that person and assuming the positive intent and purpose behind that behavior. So here's how would that look like. You come and you approach that coworker first in a safe space, not in front of anybody else. You make sure that a safe space, you give it a day just to calm things down, and then you approach that person where there's nobody around. Why that's important? Because you don't want them to put that guard up and try to protect themselves. You want to make sure that it's just nobody around. You're able to approach them in a safe environment, maybe like a neutral environment, where there's nobody around and it's not their office where they feel like you are in their territory, and it's not in your office. Somewhere neutral, okay? It could be the cafeteria if there's nobody there, or it could be a conference room if there's nobody there. Just make sure the conference room is closed. There's no glass, so people not seeing the body language, because you don't want any outside impact on their response, okay? That's very key. So first and foremost, you address the behavior, not the attitude. Okay, so what does that mean is, attitude is you say, are you crazy? You were like speeding up in the parking lot. That's attitude. You're addressing the attitude. Are you crazy? You're addressing the attitude, okay? And of course, that's going to create a sense of defensive, right? The person going to be defensive about it. It's like now you are calling them crazy, or you are not being specific on exactly what was the behavior. And now their ego is going to kick in, and they're going to defend their identity, because now you're attacking their identity, okay? You are crazy, okay? That's your identity. You're coming from a critical parent, mode, all right? Versus the behavior is, I noticed that you were going fast in the parking lot, okay? And notice here, in order for you to use this, the behavior is, you are driving fast in the parking lot. That is a behavior. You can see it. It's a fact. It can be proven. Versus, are you crazy, right? I noticed that you were going fast in the parking lot. And notice I use the word I. I notice. It's not like you are going fast in the parking lot. When you say you, automatically for every action, there's equal and opposite reaction. If you go you, that means that person is automatically, they're gonna try to defend themselves. Just try to put, again, your hands like this in front of each other. If you go this way, you press on one hand, the other hand automatically gonna press back. If you say you, there's, one finger pointing at that person, there's gonna be three at least that's pointing back at you. So therefore, you wanna use I statements. I noticed that you're going fast in the parking lot. Make sense? So that is the behavior that you want to be able to point out. Second is you want the A. A stands for assume. Now I understand what there could be some negative or some things that no around the word assume in the workplace. Completely understandable, but that's why it's a perfect setup for this specific pattern. And that is assuming positive intent. Assuming positive intent. So I notice you're going fast in the parking lot. I'm assuming you were in a hurry, right? Now you're assuming a positive intent behind their behavior, okay? So, and for this to work, you have to assume a positive intent. Instead, if you say, let's say, for example, you say, I notice you're going fast in the parking lot, I'm assuming you lost your mind. That's not gonna take you anywhere, would it? Make sense? So you're gonna assume positive intent and purpose behind it. The third step is T. T says you wanna look for the truth. You wanna ask, you wanna discover for the truth. So I noticed you're going fast in the parking lot. I'm assuming you were really in a hurry. Is that the case? Okay? What does that do? Now it puts them in their field. And notice about my body language. I'm confused. I'm trying to understand. I notice you're going fast in the parking lot. I'm assuming that you were in a hurry with some urgency was going on. Is that the case? Notice? Look at my hand. Look at my palms. Okay? Like I'm just trying to find out what's really going on with you. Notice my tone of voice. Is that the case? Versus, I notice you're going fast in the parking lot. I'm assuming that you're really in a hurry. Is that the case? Completely the same thing I said, but notice about my tone. So you want to tone it down where it's a nurturing tone. Remember, someone that's nurturing in your life, that you remember that, when they talk to you, that tone of voice, what does that tone sound like? Okay, so I noticed you were going fast in the parking lot. I'm assuming there was kind of emergency. Was that the case? Okay, so now you're concerned. You're coming from that place. Look at my body. I'm leaning a little bit forward. I'm having my palms up. You can notice like I'm just trying to discover. I have nothing to hide. Okay, and I'm really genuinely interested to find out what's going on in your life. Okay, so that's how you're gonna point it out. Okay, remember, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So I noticed that you're not going fast in the parking lot. I'm assuming that there's some kind of an emergency. Is that the case? Well, yeah, it's kind of like going fast. I was like in a hurry, whatever they're gonna say. Oh man, you almost ran me over, brother. Okay, would you be willing to just, drive a little bit slowly in the parking lot? Just to make sure that nobody's gonna get hurt. All right? Great, thank you. I'll see you around. Okay? Notice everything how it changes. And what does that do? Now you are communicating with one another. You're building trust with one another. You are assuming positive intent with one another. Instead of, reporting to managers or directors or HR or anybody else. That's not going to be conducive to the environment you want to create at your workplace. You want to create an environment of collaboration, of trust, of harmony and peace, so that when you go to that environment, you feel good about you feel good about others, and be able to serve the people that you serve, your clients, your customers. So I hope that served you. Your assignment between now and next time we talk next month is use the BAT technique. You have something that's going on between you and a coworker, between you and a manager. Go over there and point out what is that behavior that is causing that gap between you and that person. Whatever that is in that space, don't make it build up. It's like cancer. It's gonna become bigger and bigger and bigger. Nitpick it in the butt, get that out of the way, get the space out of the way, because there's no two things can exist at the same place at the same time. You wanna make sure that the space is always clean, okay? So get that out of the way, create in that space a space of harmony, okay? A space of harmony and collaboration instead. So approach that person, Point out the behavior that is irritating you, or it's causing that gap or negativity. Look at a positive intent and purpose behind it. Make an assumption about it and ask, is that the case? Right? And then if they said, if they didn't give you the answer you want, it's like, how can I support you to be able to help you to learn or to do your job better? Is there anything that I can do? Instead of telling them you're not doing your job well, tell them, is there anything that I can help you or support you with to get this done? Okay, so that's gonna create trust with that person. And do me a favor, you can't go wrong with acknowledging that person. Point out something that they do well, regardless of how much you don't like that person, regardless of how much you don't trust that person. I'm sure that someone likes that person. I'm sure they have kids, they have mother, they have father, they have family, they have friends that they like them. They must have something that they like about them. Point out that thing, build on that thing, okay? I appreciate that you're very thorough in everything that you do. You protect our organization as an HR department. You keep us in a safe space. We appreciate that. Okay, now, would you do me a favor the next time when you send me an email, you can just call me instead. Let's meet one-on-one and you can give me your feedback instead of sending that in an email. Because when you send that in an email, now I feel like this is being documented. Now you're gonna get me in trouble that you are, watching me, and now you're gonna get me in trouble. That's not the case, is it? Notice? So now you can also give feedback to someone else who have hurt you, or you think that they're trying to hurt you, by assuming the positive intent. Could be the positive intent behind it? Oh, you're just trying to protect the organization. We appreciate that, okay? Would it make sense for you next time to talk to me in person? Okay? If you want to document it, you can follow up with an email documentation afterwards. But let's just, iron everything out in person next time. And help me, give me some tools. How would I be able to have conversations, difficult conversations like that? Seek help, ask for help. I hope that served you. We appreciate that the intention and the integrity that you put in this, and the commitment basically behind willing to work with one another. Because when you start working well with yourself, it starts with oneself. That's a decision that you make first. Do you want that? That's one. Then you go from the individual, you go into the team. Then your behavior is going to affect your team, the people around you, the immediate people around you, including your family and friends. And then from there, it's going to affect the community, the society, and then it's going to affect the country, and that's going to affect the world, okay? So it all starts with you. Take care.